So this verse is from Canto 10, chapter 21. The gopis glorify Krishna's flute. And this is text number 7. Sri Gopya Uva Uchu Asan Vatang Phalamidam Naparam Vidamam Sakyam Pasunanuduveva Sayatur Vavayasai Vaktram Varesha Sutayor Anuvena Justam Yavani Pitam Anurakta Kataksamosam Chant. Vidhamma Sakyah Pashun Anuvivesha Yator Vayasyai Vaktram Brajesha Sutayor Anavenu Jushtam Yarvani Pita Manurakta Kataksham Warm. Ladies. Anyone else? Sri Gopya Uchu. The gopis said, Aksanvatam, of those who have eyes, Phalam, the fruit, Idam, this, Na, not, Param, other, Vidama, we know, Sakya, old friends, Pasun, the cows, Anuveve Saya, Ta, Anuveve Sayata, causing to enter one's forests one after another. Vyasyai, with the friends of the same age. Vaktram, the faces. Raja Isa, of Maharaj Nanda. Sitayo, of the two sons. Anuvenu Justam, possessed of flutes. Yayi, by which. Va, or. Nipitam, imbibed, anurakta, loving, kataksa, glances, moksham, giving off, moksha, 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 moksha. Right? What are they saying? Moksha, 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 moksha. We got moksham and moksha. Both are nice words. Giving off. Okay, now this is the gopis speaking. If you notice, my voice is really bad. Hopefully after breakfast it'll be better. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll see. I think this is the first time I ever lost my voice. I lost my voice in Ljubljana. Beautiful song, #1 on the ISKCON hit parade of Slovenia. Hare Krišna. Okay, the cowherd girl said, "Oh friends, those eyes that see the beautiful faces of the son of Nanda Maharaj are certainly fortunate. As these two sons enter the forest, surrounded by their friends, driving the cows before them, they hold their flutes to their mouths and glance lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavan. For those who have eyes, we think there is no greater object of vision." I'll read it again, please repeat. The cowherd girl said, "Oh friends, those eyes that see the beautiful faces of the sons of Maharaj Nanda are certainly fortunate. As these two sons enter the forest, surrounded by their friends, driving the cows before them, they hold their flutes to their mouth and glance lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavan. Though for those who have eyes, we think there is no greater object of vision." Purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So there's a quote here from Adi Lila, chapter 4, verse 155 of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented as follows: "The gopis meant to say, 'Oh friends, if you simply remain in the shackles of family life in this material world, what will you ever get to see? The Creator has granted us these eyes, so let us see the most wonderful thing there is to see, Krishna.'" The gopis were aware that their mothers or other elder persons might hear the romantic words and disapprove, and thus they said, "Akshavatam phalam." To see Krishna is the goal of all persons and not simply ourselves. In other words, the gopis indicated that since Krishna is the supreme object of love for everyone, why couldn't they also love him in spiritual ecstasy? According to the acharyas, a different gopi spoke this, and each of the following verses through text number 19. So the gopis continue. Om Gyan Timirandasya Ganajana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakte Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vacharine Nirvasesa Sunyavari Pastyatya De Satarine Pancha Kalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhupe Bacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gauranga Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. So, a couple years ago, I was in Vrindavan, and I went to the birthplace of Lord Krishna, Nandagram, and we happen to know the person who manages that temple. His name is Ramesh Baba. No, not Ramesh Baba. What's his name? Yeah, Ramesh Baba. Ramesh Baba is also a singer. Well, and then he was talking to me, and he was a little unhappy. And he was saying, because on the altar in Nandagram, Krishna and Balaram are standing there in their beautiful form, and they're both holding flutes, playing flute. And some people were saying, where did you get this idea that Balaram plays the flute? Because how many times do you see Balaram holding a flute? Very rare. And how many verses do you know that speak about that? So he was talking, he was feeling a little unhappy, and he was thinking, we got to find that verse that shows that Balaram actually plays the flute. So I didn't know the verse, but I took his concern also. And then I think it was the next day, he was like dancing. Said, I found the verse. He was so happy. And this is the verse. It says here, they hold their flutes to their mouths and glance lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavan. So Balaram plays the flute. We see Krishna playing the flute. We know that he is known for playing the flute. His symbol is to play the flute. On the altar, he plays the flute. But when you see Krishna and Balaram together on the altar, in any of the Krishna Balaram temples, you don't see Balaram with a flute. He's usually got, what does he have? He has a cane, he has a cowherd horn, like that. He has other decorations, but you don't see a flute. So here, this verse actually proves, this is from the gopis are speaking. And they're seeing these two beautiful boys. What are they doing? Playing on their flutes, both of them, and attracting everyone by their smiling glances as they look lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavan. So Balaram plays the flute, just in case anybody tells you he doesn't. Just, it's important to also know that, because we hardly hear that, but he does play. And probably there are other statements in other shastras. We can't find any more in the Bhagavatam that I know of anyway. But he does play the flute. Right at the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, fighting was still going on, although the Kauravas had already lost. And Bhima was really angry and of course the Pandavas also, and many others, for what Dushasana and Duryodhana had done to Draupadi. One of the greatest offenses that one can commit is to offend a chaste lady. That'll break your strength in any vow you're trying to achieve. To offend a chaste lady is, even to offend ladies, it says that women are not punishable, children are not punishable, old people are not punishable, cows are not punishable, and Brahmins are not punishable. They're meant to be given protection. So now you see our Kali Yuga society, they have jails for women. But this is Kali Yuga. Women should be corrected if they act wrongly and taken care of so they don't act wrongly. But to give them a punishment or put them in jail is a horrible activity, and it's offense against a class of women. Children too, we see children, they don't go to jail unless they're 17 years old, I think, in some countries, where they have delinquent houses for kids. But kids and women, and especially those elderly, when I speak elderly, I mean really elderly, who are somewhat debilitated in their ability to function, they're not punishable. They should be given some correction, maybe some admonishment, but punishment is meant for criminals like that. So, what was I saying? So, but Draupadi was really offended. She was the quality of chaste lady. And she was offended by Dushasana, who was the brother of Duryodhana, and who else? Karna. And all three of them had to die an inglorious death because of that offense. For a Kshatriya to die on a battlefield is glorious, but they died inglorious because when Karna was fighting with Arjuna, both of them were Kshatriyas and they played by the rules. In other words, you can't kill an unarmed opponent. Even when Krishna was fighting with that demon, what was the demon? Hiranyaksha. When Hiranyaksha, I believe it was Hiranyaksha, knocked out Krishna's club. Hiranyaksha obeyed the rule of, and he waited till Krishna picked up his club again so he could fight. He was a demon, but he knew the art of Kshatriya. So when our Karna's chariot was smashed and he was knocked to the ground, and he was trying to get his chariot back, he didn't expect it, but Krishna said to him, to Arjuna, kill him. That was against religious principles. But Krishna is the author of religious principles. So Arjuna obeyed Krishna and killed him. When Karna saw that he was being attacked by Arjuna, he was shocked. Jai Sri Panchadattva. But why was Karna done like, why did that happen to Karna? Because he had offended Draupadi. Because he had offended Draupadi, he was killed when he was unarmed, which was really an inglorious death. But he deserved it because he had offended a chaste lady. So, of course, Duryodhana, at the time, when he was fighting with Bhima at the end, Bhima had challenged him. Duryodhana was still there at the end of the battle. And Balaram came. And Balaram was the martial guru of Duryodhana. He had taught Duryodhana how to fight with a club. And Duryodhana was an expert, having learned from Balaram how to fight. So he was an expert club wielder. And he was fighting against Bhima, who wasn't so expert at fighting with a club, but he was more physically powerful. Bhima had the strength of 10,000 elephants, it said. So they were fighting, and the fighting was going on day after day after day after day. Nobody was winning. And then Balaram came. Balaram was seeing the situation, so he intervened. He said, Duryodhana, you're a better fighter, but Bhima is more strong. So there'll be no victory between either of you. You'll just keep fighting. So he said, stop fighting. But they looked at him like he was the most, what we say, uninvited person ever. In other words, they didn't really consider anything Balaram said. They had their enmity towards each other was so strong they kept up the fighting. So Balaram got disgusted and he left. And he went on tour for 20 years. He visited the holy places. He even visited many holy places. One place he didn't visit was Jagannath Puri, although he was in the area. Why? Because he's there in the deity form in Jagannath Puri. So he didn't go to go see himself. Hare Krishna. He respected this mood of humility, you might say. And so, I'll talk about that. But what happened was during that fight between these two powerful warriors, Krishna knew that Bhima couldn't win. So he said, and he wanted Bhima to win. So he told him, hit him below the waist, which is against Kshatriya principles. You don't hit below the waist. But Duryodhana's body was strong as steel. And he couldn't, Bhima couldn't win. It wasn't possible. And so Krishna said, hit him below the waist. And he knew that that's the only part of his body that wasn't steel. What happened was, his mother, Gandhari, she wanted to make her son, Duryodhana's body, like steel. And she was blind. No, she wasn't blind, but she accepted voluntary blindness because her husband, Dhritarashtra, was blind. So a chaste woman doesn't want to be better than her husband. So she voluntarily accepted blindness and wrapped her eyes with a cloth. And she lived like that for years without seeing, although she had vision. But to honor or not to be in a superior position of her husband, she accepted voluntary blindness. But then she wanted to give some benediction to her son. So she said to her son, tomorrow you come before me naked. And he listened to his mother, so he's walking to go to his mother naked. And on the way he meets Krishna. Krishna says to Duryodhana, where are you going? Why are you going naked? She said, my mother told me to come like this. I'm going to see her. This is not right. You should wear, what is it called? Loincloth. Gamsha. So he listened to Krishna and he put a loincloth on. So when she unwrapped her eyes, she noticed he wasn't completely naked, and when she glanced on him, his whole body became like steel, except that part of his body. And then she understood Krishna's getting involved. So her plan was foiled. And that was the cause of the death of Duryodhana, because he wasn't able to be killed. So Krishna told Bhima, hit him below the waist, which that part was vulnerable. And he took his club and with all his might, he smashed the waist of Duryodhana, and he broke his waist. And when his waist was broken, he couldn't fight anymore, and he fell. He didn't die immediately, but he suffered. He suffered a lot. And then the fight was over, and they just left him there to die because he also had offended Draupadi. And anyone who offends a chaste lady, their destiny is not very good. Even today, that principle works. If you offend a chaste lady, you can expect calamities in your life. But then again, how many ladies are chaste? Well, that's another thing. We can say every lady in our movement, devotees are chaste ladies. But outside we might say. But still, to offend a woman is offense. Or to unnecessarily cause harm to children is a great offense. To harass and cause harm to old people is offense. To do anything to cause anxiety or disturbance to cows is offense. And Brahmins also. So these 5 are protected by religious principles because they're subject to care. They need care. And if they're giving the opposite, that is considered a great offense. So, now Duryodhana is laying there and Asvatthama comes. Asvatthama had just killed the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. And he cut off their heads, and he wanted to bring their heads to Duryodhana just to show that I have killed the Pandavas, because Duryodhana wanted the Pandavas to be destroyed. That was his greatest enemy. He was envious of the Pandavas. So his waist is broken. He's sitting there and he's suffering. And then he's practically unable to even see or think, and he's just dying. And Asvatthama comes with the 5 heads and says, Guru Maharaj, he was the Acharya for all of these Kshatriyas. He was called Guru. I have killed the 5 Pandavas. Duryodhana thought, just before I die, I got that pleasure of hearing it. But then he gave him the 5 heads. But then he realized that these weren't the heads of the Pandavas, they were the heads of the Pandavas' sons. Each son, Draupadi had gave birth to 1 son for each of the 5 Pandavas. So each one was a different son of the different Pandavas. When he saw that, and when he understood what really was what was actually the reality, he became so unhappy, and he just died. And of course, Asvatthama, he had committed that offense, and he was banished. Asvatthama is still alive today. He is. He's in Vrindavan today. People see him. There's a few people who know he's still there. He was cursed not to die because of his offense, but his body took on a very terrible, foul smell because of the offense to killing those 5 sons, and his body was just like garbage. So he couldn't associate with anyone. No one would even go near him. So he roamed the earth for how many years now? It's been thousands of years. Couldn't die, couldn't associate with anybody. He was living like a wretch. Somehow he was living, I don't know, maybe on water and some roots and fruits. Couldn't cook, couldn't do anything. He came to Vrindavan, and somehow, by some grace, he started to chant the Hare Krišna Mahamantra. He got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and he started to chant. Soon, they say, he will give up his body, because the curse is over now. He had suffered tremendously, and he will become one of the 7 rishis, Sapta rishis, that will circumambulate Dhruvaloka in the next manifestation of creation. Because those Sapta rishis change during every creation. A little history about Asvatthama, for those of you wondering what happened to him. He's still around. And Balaram, now he's going on pilgrimage, and he goes to different places. The same thing happened to Lord Nityananda when Lord Nityananda was in his village. And one sadhu came, because we know that Lord Nityananda and Lord Balaram are the same person. One sadhu came. Nobody knows who that sadhu is. Some people are sure it's Lakshmipati Tirtha. What do you think, Radha Govinda? Is it Lakshmipati Tirtha? Others say it's the brother of Lord Nityananda, Sarup, who left and came as a sadhu to bring his... So no one really can confirm who that sadhu was. So this sadhu was traveling. He came to Ekachakra, which was the birthplace of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda was there playing with his pastimes until he was about 12 years old. And then he was living with his father, Hridai Pandit and Padmavati. And everyone loved Lord Nityananda. He was the cynosure of everyone's eyes. It was so beautiful. You can see Balaram is beautiful. Nityananda is also personification of transcendental beauty. And every villager loved him more than even they loved their own sons. And of course he would play his pastimes. He wouldn't reveal who he was, but he was playing his pastimes. So when this sadhu came, he stayed at the house of Hridai Pandit, Lord Nityananda's father. And he stayed there for about 3 days. At the end of 3 days, he decided the sadhu left. Hridai Pandit and his wife Padmavati and Lord Little Nityananda, who was 12 years old at the time, was serving this sadhu such a way that the sadhu was completely happy and pleased. And he blessed the whole family before he left. But he said, I have one more request. Because when a guest comes to your home, no matter what the guest asks, you have to fulfill the guest's request. If he asks to enjoy your wife, you have to do that. Hare Krishna. But this is Kali Yuga, so don't ask for that. Even if you're a roaming sadhu. Of course, devotees don't do that. But the point is, a request of a guest cannot be turned down. Because a guest is considered to be, as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, when guests come to your home, they should be treated, even if they're their enemy. Even if your enemy comes in the form of a guest, you should act like he's not their enemy and treat him as a friend. This is Vaishnava culture, this is Vaishnava tradition, this is the way people understand how to interact with each other in the best possible way. So, he's asking, Hridai Pandit said, yes, whatever you want, just ask. He said, well, I'm a traveling mendicant, and I require an assistant. So please give me your son. When he heard that, he practically froze. He did freeze. He fell over first. He lost consciousness. He couldn't believe what was being asked of him. And he stayed unconscious for a while. Padmavati came. She helped her husband get back to consciousness. He came. He couldn't believe it. The sadhu was not going to change his request. And Nityananda, as soon as the sadhu was about to leave, Lord Nityananda came right up to the sadhu and stood next to him like, I'm going with you. Hridai Pandit froze, and he didn't move. He stayed in one place for 3 months, didn't move. He was in shock. He was looking in the direction of the sadhu as the sadhu was leaving, and he left his body in that position. Shock. When Lord Nityananda left and the rest of the villagers found out, they were thinking, oh my God, without Nityananda there's no life. So they all went looking to find that sadhu, but no one could find him. And then the villagers were saying, well, I have a son, I'm going to find that sadhu and trade my son for Nityananda. That's how much they loved Lord Nityananda. But Lord Nityananda made that arrangements because when Balaram left Duryodhana and he left the area of Kurukshetra, he went on tour for 20 years. Lord Nityananda did the same thing. With that sadhu, he traveled for 20 years. And that's when he was at the age of 32, 20 years later, that's when he met Lord Chaitanya in Navadvip Dham. And when Lord Chaitanya understood that Lord Nityananda had come, he said, a great personality has just come. We have to find him. He's here in Navadvip. Let's all go out and find him. So he sent out his devotees to find Nityananda. And they were looking all day and couldn't find anywhere. So finally they came back. They said, we can't find who you're describing. And Lord Chaitanya said, of course you can't find him. He's a special personality. And if he doesn't want to be found, you won't find him. But Lord Chaitanya knew he was at the house of Nanda Acharya, which is just down the road from our Mayapur Dham there. And then Lord Chaitanya went and found Lord Nityananda there. When they met, that was so sweet. It was so sweet. Two brothers, after feeling the separation of each other for so many years, and they exchanged so many loving exchanges between them. And then the next day was a special day. It was the ceremony for Vyasa Puja for Vyasadeva. We do that every year. It was just passed in July. It's called, what is it called? Guru Purnima. Now I want to straighten out the record. There's some ISKCON devotees that don't understand this particular festival. That day is for honoring Vyasadeva, not your spiritual master. Some people come up and say, Raj, happy Guru Purnima. I said, what? We celebrate the spiritual master's birthday on his birthday, his appearance day on his birthday, not on Guru Purnima. That's for Vyas. So that ceremony was there, and Lord Chaitanya gathered at the house of Srivas and said, let us worship Vyasadeva. So they had a big ceremony, and they had so many eulogies and glorifying. And then it came time for the garland to be placed on the they had a picture, either a picture or Murti of Vyasadeva there. So Lord Nityananda was given the garland by Srivas. Lord Chaitanya said, get the garland, Srivas, and give it to Lord Nityananda. He can garland Vyasadeva. So he takes the garland, he gives it to Nityananda, and Nityananda is just standing there. He's not doing anything. He's not moving. And the ceremony is kind of like a time schedule. You have to offer the garland at that same time. Otherwise, it will the benefit of that ceremony is mitigated or maybe even lost. Everything has to be done at the right time. Just like just before Guru Puja, we give Srila Prabhupada his garland. That's the right time to give it to him. So, Nityananda, he's standing there with the garland, and he's not moving. And then Lord Chaitanya said, Nitai, put the garland on Vyasadeva. And Nitai was going, but he was not moving. Put the garland on Vyasadeva. He's not moving. And everyone's thinking, this is so inauspicious. The time is going, and Nityananda is not putting it on. And then Mahaprabhu said it again. Lord Nityananda walked over and put the garland on Lord Chaitanya. For him, that was the real Vyasadeva. So that was sweet. That was really sweet. He showed that Lord Chaitanya is the person who is to be honored in this ceremony, because he is the guru of Lord of Vyasadeva also. So that was a very wonderful pastime of Lord Nityananda. So there's many pastimes of Lord Nityananda. Do we have time for one more? Yeah, it's already a few minutes to 9. You don't mind waiting a little longer for breakfast? I won't chant the Sarira prayer before I leave, so okay. Okay, so Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they're in Jagannath Puri. And it's just about time for the Rath Yatra to happen. So Lord Chaitanya would leave Navadvip with his followers every year and go to Jagannath Puri to take part in the festival. So Lord Nityananda was there, and he told Lord Chaitanya was there. He told Lord Nityananda, "You stay in Navadvip. I'm going to preach in Puri. You preach in Navadvip." So Lord Nityananda took that order on his head, and every year he stayed. And all the devotees came to see Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri once a year during the Rath Yatra ceremony. But this year, Lord Nityananda couldn't restrain himself. He wanted to be with Lord Chaitanya. So he came. And then they were together. Of course, Lord Chaitanya was happy to see Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda was very happy. And they had some confidential talks that nobody really knows what they said. But it was understood that Lord Chaitanya told Lord Nityananda, "I'm here in Puri, but you should go back to Navadvip. Because in Navadvip, there is a lot of people who need the mercy. So please go back there." So Lord Nityananda took that order on his head after staying for a little while and getting the association of Lord Chaitanya. He gathered his Gopals, his followers. His followers are Gopals, cowherd boys. And they went and they started beginning kirtan, and they were on their way to go to Navadvip. But they were traveling and they got lost. They didn't know where to go. Have you ever got lost? I never used to get lost before the, what is it called, GPS. Now I get lost with the GPS. I used to get a map and read the map and figure out where everything is. Now the GPS takes you, where you can use the most gas, because they work in connection with the gas companies to make sure you take the long way to your destination. So, anyway, I don't like GPS. I like SPG. That's called Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's a better, device for finding your way. It always works, and it's never wrong. It's SPG. So they're lost. And so they decided, let's ask someone. So they stopped their kirtan and they asked, "Which way to Navadvip?" "Oh, hai, 6 miles that way, and then once you go, and then after way, then you go this way." And okay, so now they got the directions, and they began kirtan, and they're chanting and dancing and dancing and chanting and chanting and dancing and dancing and chanting and chanting and dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing and chanting and chanting and dancing and chanting and dancing and dancing and dancing and chanting, and more dancing and chanting. They're just having kirtan and get lost again. They're thinking, where are we? We don't know. All right, let's ask. They asked, and so on. Oh, hi. 20 miles that way is the Ganga. Find the Ganga, then follow the Ganga. It goes to Navadvip. Okay, so they got the directions. So they changed directions, followed the Ganga. Finally, they got to in the area of Navadvip. They stopped at the house of Raghava Pandit. And Raghava Pandit came out, and he saw Lord Nityananda there, and he put on a garland of, I forgot what kind of flowers, but they weren't Lord Nityananda said, you know, I want a garland of Kadamba flowers. And Raghava Pandit said, but Nitai, this is not the season for Kadamba flowers. There's no Kadamba flowers. And Nityananda said, you just go into your yard in the back there and you look. So he went, and on the lemon tree, he found Kadamba flowers. So he was amazed, put a garland together, it came out, gave Lord Nityananda Kadamba flowers. Have you ever seen a Kadamba flower? How many of you seen Kadamba flowers? Really? You seen them?
Yes, but I don't remember.
They're like beautiful orange or yellow balls. They're just like a ball, as round as a ball, and they're so beautiful. They're either orange or yellow, bright colors, and they're so beautiful. Kadamba flowers are so nice, and their fragrance also. We got a Kadamba tree in Chowpatty in Bhaktivedanta in Mumbai, in Radha Gopinath temple there. So yeah, and so now they continue their kirtan. But first, Lord Nityananda says, you know, and everyone is smelling not Kadamba flowers but Dhammanaka flowers. And Dhammanaka flowers only grow in the area of Jagannath Puri. So he was thinking, Lord Chaitanya always wears a garland of Dhammanaka flowers. Is Lord Chaitanya here? And if only 3 or 4 people could see it, Lord Chaitanya had come. Because it says whenever Lord Nityananda is dancing, Lord Chaitanya is present. So he was there but unmanifested. And only a few people could see, but they could smell the Kadamba flowers. And then they continued their kirtan, and this kirtan was mad. The kirtan went on for 3 months. 3 consecutive months. Didn't stop, went on through the night, 3 months. Nobody ate, nobody drank water. They just had kirtan. You might think, how's that possible? It's possible. With the holy name, you can transcend all material situations if you are absorbed in the holy name. If you're not absorbed, don't try it. So, yeah. So they were dancing and chanting for 3 months, and they were picking up trees and dancing with trees, uprooting trees, small trees, and dancing with the trees, and they were climbing on big trees. They were walking up the sides of the tree and going out to the branches and walking out on the end of the branches and dancing on the twigs. And the twigs weren't breaking. And then they were jumping off, diving off the branches onto the ground while they were chanting Hare Krišna. Could you imagine what kind of kirtan that was? That's Lord Nityananda's kirtan. It was just mad. And some of the villagers from the area, they also heard, and they came out and joined the kirtan, and some of the kids from the village also come. And they got involved, and they started to dance, and they danced for 1 month. And they were pulling out trees too. We became empowered. The holy name, chanted by Lord Nityananda and all of his Gopals. Just Jai Pataka Maharaj tells this kirtan, this story in detail. I don't know all the details. It's an amazing pastime. Lord Nityananda had kirtan for 3 months. 3 months. So tonight we can begin the first day of the 3 months. And Harinam Ruchi is the first kirtan leader. So you can lead for 1 month. And each of the following kirtan leaders will lead for a half a month each. And at the end we'll complete 3 months. And then we'll have some prasad. It's possible, but I think maybe the GBC might not like it. because we got to get the organizational aspect of our society to keep functioning. If you just have kirtan, that's the supreme organization. There's nothing else to organize. Everything is organized perfectly. So this is a beautiful pastime. I won't take up more of your time. It's almost 10 after 9 and it's time for breakfast. But Lord Nityananda, Lord Balaram, we're still trying to remember this particular appearance day of Lord Balaram because it helps us to go deeper into our Krishna consciousness and receive special mercy. And I'll just end Brajendra Nandana Ye Sachi Sutta Hoilu Se Balaram Hoilu Nulitai. No difference between Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, no difference between Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda. They're the same person, two different forms. Sometimes people ask, well, if they're two different forms, which one came first? But because they're both eternal, they both came. In other words, if it's the same person and he's taking two different forms, which form came first, Balaram or Nityananda? Think about that one. I don't want to make any comment because I don't have the knowledge to figure that one out. But think about that one. If it's only one person, but it's expanded into two forms of the same person, which form was the one that was the original form that expanded? Or did both forms exist eternally at the same time? Interesting, huh? But so we worship Lord Nityananda. When you worship Lord Nityananda, you're worshiping Lord Balaram also. When we're worshiping Lord Balaram, we're also getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And sometimes we say Nityananda Balaram. We use those two names to describe Lord Nityananda. He is Lord Nityananda and Balaram. He's two, same person. But there's an element of mercy that is there in Nityananda that is different. Balaram killed the demons. Lord Nityananda killed their mentality by giving them the mercy of Lord Chaitanya through the Sankirtan movement. So in that way, he was very kind to the conditioned souls and gave them Krishna consciousness. No matter how sinful they are, and the ideal pastime is Jagai and Madai, which is happening today. Lord Nityananda, using his devotees, is still spreading the mercy around today, and the Jagais and Madais are coming for prasad. And sometimes they stay for kirtan. And sometimes they get attracted, and then they join the ashram. In other words, Jagais and Malais are still coming by the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. Their mercy is not in the past, it is just as powerful as it was then as it is now. So we take that mercy and distribute it to the conditioned souls and get the special mercy of Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. Because when they see you're giving that same mercy that they're giving to others, you become very blessed by them. What is that blessing? You go back to Godhead. You go back to Godhead. Okay. Any questions, comments? Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a mathematical question?
A mathematical?
You mentioned about that there was fight between Duryodhan and Bhimasen, and I was reading that it lasts 28 days.
Yeah, right.
And the fight and
Balaram came at what?
Yeah, and Balaram was also fighting with Jarasandha, also 28 days, and Krishna was also fighting with Jambavan, also 28
Planning
days.
28 days.
Why always 28 days?
Hmm.
I was wondering. Maybe you know this.
Philosophical speculation.
Maybe for moon? Why? Because moon is 28 days changing, or can it be something?
Yeah,
like that?
Krishna, yeah. But the battle of Kurukshetra was only 18 days. So yeah, Jambavan and Krishna fought for 28 days. 28 Vasyas also. Duryodhana and Bhima, 28 days. Two and 8 is 10. And 10 is 1 plus 0. So when you have 1, you can add so many zeros onto it, and you increase the number. That's really bad philosophical speculation. I think it's more like mental speculation. 28 days. Numbers have a significant, very big significance in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada also told us, he said, if you were ready, we could take over the world in 18 days. He said that to us. In other words, if you were pure devotees, then we could spread this Krishna consciousness in 18 days. He said that. He wasn't, Prabhupada never said things just to make a point, to kind of just make some euphemism or some exaggeration or just attract attention. He always said something with meaning, but you may not understand the meaning. But if you investigate even deeper, you'll find there's a reason why, there's a very good reason why Prabhupada ever said whatever he said. Yeah, I give up. If anyone wants to take a shot at it, but I'm going to find out though. You got my interest going, so I'm going to do a little research. Why 28 days? Because I know a devotee who knows every answer, and when I need any answer, I go to him, and he has the answer. He's living in London today. I go to speak to him. Just like I asked Gopi Pranandana, he's one of our greatest scholars. It says that the Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses. But if you count the verses in the Bhagavatam, you get 14,096. I counted them. And so I asked Gopi Paranandana, and he was saying, well, there's different ways that the verses are coupled together. But then he said by Anusup is a way of counting. But he said even by Anusup we can't come up with 18,000. So he couldn't answer my question. He just basically said, it requires some more research. And then I went to this devotee and I asked him, this was many years after that, and he explained it in detail, how the verses are structured in a certain way that is the original structure of the Bhagavatam, and it comes to 18,000. And he showed it by evidence also. So I was, I've asked him so many questions, and he always gives the most amazing answers that are apparently correct. So I'll ask him. And I have a good, and that's a good opportunity for me to talk to him too. So I'll ask him that one, and let's see if he can come up with this one. He's good. He's an amazing personality. He doesn't do it now, but he used to read 8 to 10 hours a day, every day. He's a family man. He has 2 children. He has a wife.
What's his name?
Kartik Chandra, disciple of Radhanath Swami in London. Kartik Chandra, yeah. He recently had some health challenges, so he's really, right now, he's recovering his health. But he's getting back to normal. But he's amazing. I just saw him a couple days ago before I came here. I said, "How are you?" He said, "Spiritually, 110%. Health-wise, 40%. And then he had another percentage. He said 90% for something else. Can't remember what the other one was. So his health is kind of, he's struggling. You can also pray for him. But he's still spiritually strong when his mind is completely clear." Yeah. He's only in his 40s, late 40s, I think. Okay, I don't want to keep you too long because breakfast is coming. So thank you very much. And 2:45, is there any program this morning? Is there Harinam again this morning? No? So between now and 2:45 we begin the Kirtan program, and then from 2:45 continuing all the way up to the end, the evening. So come, there's a schedule posted up on the board for seeing the listings of the Kirtanias. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Small announcement, because today is the day when Srila Prabhupada boarded Jaladuta. If anyone wants to see the photos of Jaladuta and the Kidapur docks where Jaladuta was tied and Prabhupada boarded it, you can approach. Well, this is a collection, but if you want to see... This is Jaladuta.